All right, let's get this cracking. So, welcome to the illustration block of CG Spectrum's Twitch page. And I am your host. I am your host, Eric Wilkerson. And so today we are going to keep pushing along on this one. I want to keep going on this for as long as I can because I want to have a solid finished piece at the end of this. And so if you're hearing any background sounds, that is a lawnmower. We're having trees sliced in the backyard. We're evicting squirrels from our backyard. Squirrels, birds, random snakes, whatever nature's got in a tree. Getting rid of the trees, so it's going to be a bunch of angry squirrels later on. Coming back to their nests going, what? Where's my house? It's gone. It's chopped up. Anyway. Luis, Lindley, hey, how is everybody? Hope everybody's doing good. See my screen? I cannot see you. Random snakes, where do you live? Oh, yeah. There's, well, not like snakes, not like venomous, wrap around your thigh and crush you to death kind of things, but no, like little garden snakes. It's not cool, man. It's not cool. Nature's just like full of death and mayhem out there. Trees trying to kill you. That pollen. It's horrible. What do? I stay inside. Got some sense. Stay indoors. They can't get you if you stay inside. Like that. What is that? That meme. That GIF on Facebook where the guy's going like this. Use your brain, right? All right, so call up my reference here for this lady's face. I think I'm gonna paint some facial stuff today. Let me know if my audio is okay, if you guys can hear me. I was gonna try and play a little synthwave music. If synthwave is not your thing, you can always mute it. Your phone, your computer, whatever. Play the music of your choice. Polka hits, I don't know, whatever, how y'all get down. All right, the audio is perfect. I sound crispy fresh. Sweet. Right. Good. Good. In Canada, there's just a lot of squirrels, skunks, raccoons, the occasional alcohol. Yeah. Like that here. Well, there won't be soon. Well, actually, we had birds nesting in a bush outside of our front door, and this story is going to get sad in a minute because the little baby birds, I guess one of them didn't know how to fly or couldn't fly. His arms weren't strong enough to carry him, and just like fell out of the tree, hit the ground, and the parents were swarming all over it, trying to get it to fly. I don't know what happened to that bird. I would like to believe that it eventually learned how to fly, was not eaten by the neighbor's cat. Luis is like, oh, it must most likely dead. Neighbor's cat ate it. Said, oh my goodness, I can't wait to get outside and kill that thing. Anyway. It's enough random nonsense out of me. It's time to paint some stuff. So if anybody has any questions, anything art related, um, that you would like to talk about, please feel free to message me in the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to sit here, render some stuff in JS. All right. First things first. First things first, I gotta turn this light off. I don't know about you, but I can't paint in a brightly lit room. I can't see my screen in a brightly lit. So some people like to start off by painting the face and then they move into doing other aspects of the illustration. Um, I'm usually that person that saves the hardest thing for last. So I'll render every other square inch of the thing, whatever it is that I'm painting, and then dive into the face. I'm trying to break out of that. I don't know. There's just sometimes there's that fear in the back of my head that I'm going to forget how to paint or that I'm going to mess it up somehow. So I do everything else. It's kind of like a confidence booster before painting the face. Even though I know that it's going to come out okay, part of my brain's like, you're going to mess it up. Save that for later. Don't do it. Do it. This is me pushing ahead and rendering the face before finishing everything else. Ignoring that stupid part of my brain. Right, exactly, Luis. Like if I see there's painters that I know personally that will start painting a face on a white canvas, like on a white surface. There's no background, nothing else is worked out. They just start painting the face. And that is crazy to me because it either lets me know that this person has no formal training and is just randomly choosing a spot to start painting, or they are supremely confident that they will not have to go back in and render that face after they have chosen a palette for the rest of the composition. Because like if they choose a on a white surface, that warm skin tone might just look fine. But then if you put cool blue background on it, all of a sudden that skin tone looks bright neon orange. You thought it looked fine. But with you, Luis, you've already worked out so much of the piece uh, at the comp stage, so you know what your palette is going to be. So if you decided to paint the face first, you'd be in shape. I mean, that's how I work now. I my photo comps for my illustrations are pretty much what the piece is going to be. I just have to now paint it better than the and some people super nervous about just starting a piece, starting the paint. Today I'm just color picking. I'm lazy. I don't feel like eyeballing. There's no law that says that I can. Now if we have any CGS students that are in intro course or are just posting artwork over in that general DigiPaint area section, I am really blown away by all of the portrait work, all of the portrait paintings and studies that you guys have been doing. I think that is so cool and so beneficial to your own artistic growth. The more you do stuff like, the more it's going to strengthen your observation skills. And why paint your own face? Why do a self-portrait? Because you know your own face. And if you drew it wrong, if you painted it wrong, you know, because you'll see yourself every day. You see yourself. Developing a style and using reference. Tell us about style and using reference. Well, developing a style is going to come from you figuring out who you are and what you like to do. And then kind of merging your interests with painting style that doesn't drive you crazy. That's the short version of that. But what do you want to know about using reference specifically? Also, figuring out your style comes through from a lot of trial and error. You have to try things before you know that you don't want, right? So there's this scene in I think it was Star Trek Generations, where Data tastes prune juice or scotch or some drink for the first time. His taste buds were activated. He hated it. He's like, yes, this is revolting. You gotta know what's revolting to you. It helps you develop your style. Using another artist's work as reference, how to learn copying. you still have to be more specific because using it how? Because one way is inspirational, the other is theft. So it's all in how you use it. So you have to really dive in. Dive into that question, man. I'm not going anywhere. It's not until an hour or so. Well, I'll try to answer a little bit of it based off of what I can understand from what you're asking. But, um, example, there's an artist called Van Gogh. It's a style I think is so I often use his work as a reference. Are you trying to emulate his painting style, brush handling, uh, subject matter? Like, what is it about that you are using? They're making a copy in the end. So, style. Van Ripper is a digital painting. So, in traditional painting, for example, you make studies of famous paintings. You learn direct copy, so you need to go right. Um, so those are called master copies. Doing a master copy is really all about uh, studying paint mixing, color mixing, strengthens your observational skills, all of that stuff. But at some point, you have to apply what you learned from those master copies to your own work. And sorry, I'm trying to rent cheek and in, intellectual at the same time. 1 second. So you have to take what you learn from the master copies and apply it to your own thing. Style is going to come from repetition, from figuring out what you like and what you don't like, your interests. Um, like you might like painting something that Van Ripper doesn't. But what you're going to have to do is come up with a technique, a way of applying your colors, a certain brush stroke, a texture, some gimmick or um, hook that makes your work different from somebody else's. Because otherwise, like if your stuff is looking like Van Ripper, looking like the person you're copying, why should somebody hire you when they could just call him or her, or whoever that person is? So Luis is saying, so if you want to learn technique of artists to try it out, some tutorial. Right. I mean, you can copy an artist's technique and workflow, but if you are actually physically copying the style, the look of their work, that's not cool because you're not learning anything. And I've been in that I was in that situation. A lot of art school students find themselves in a position where they are copying the style of their painting teacher because that is who is directly telling them apply the strokes like this, do this to the composition, do this with the colors. But that teacher is just telling you what they would do, not necessarily what you want to do. So you have to figure out who you are, what you like to do, and merge that into your workflow so that you differentiate yourself from the other guy. Hope that makes sense. And I'm telling you that from experience. I used to post my stuff on different art forums and have people, that looks like so-and-so's work. And, oh, crap. So that means I got some work to do. Because they're not seeing my work, they're seeing that other artist. Think I'm trying to copy that other person. So so Hitor, now I'm curious. Now I gotta look up who this Van Ripper is. Is it Van Ripper? Van. Is this an anime looking thing? Is that what you're trying to copy? I'm just trying to make sure I'm looking at the right stuff. but it's like an anime cartoony, right? I'm not seeing anything here that jumps out as being particularly different from any other anime artist. I mean, I'm not knocking the work. I mean, I'm sure like there are people out there that love it, but like if you were to line this up with the character designs from, you know, a bunch of other anime, when I think of like Rebecca Sugar or somebody like Steven Universe kind of thing, or um, some of the some of the different art styles you see in the different anime or animation now, uh, that that has a unique quality to it. Um, I don't know. Like I feel like if that's what you're trying to copy, you should try to push yourself beyond that, because there's like a million and one dudes out there trying to do that. So take a look at take a look at somebody like Sean Galloway, Cheeks, Sean Cheeks Galloway, or uh, some of the some of the comic book artists out there. Look at some character designers uh, from different animated series. I mean, if you want to come up with a unique thing, one way to go about it would be to not look at any outside stimuli and just close yourself off to everything and just draw and develop your own thing. But if you're going to look at different sources as inspiration or to develop your own thing, your own style, look at multiple sources. Like look at a bunch of different artists that have some quality to their work that you like, and kind of merge three or four different people's artwork together into one, you know, pot, one, amalgamation of four or five different people plus yourself. Then you're going to have a unique thing. But if you're just copying one dude's work, I don't know. I don't want to say the wrong thing or bash somebody, but I don't. I think you could try to do something better. That's all. If you're going to do it, you push yourself. That's all. Hope that makes sense. When you start drawing and everything you try to draw sucks really badly, any steps you can to overcome the feeling of despair. Ow. Um, yeah, I think students are really hard on themselves. So hard on themselves. Um, like if you make a bad piece of art, it feels like people just want to go cry or punch themselves in the face or something. I don't get that. Like if I was learning how to play the piano and I sucked, I'm not gonna bash my head against the keys. I'm gonna keep practicing and growing. Yeah, Hator, what Luis is saying. Look at different art forms. I mean, that's the thing about art history. And like in my illustration class, I go in depth talking about different illustrators. from children's books to sci-fi to golden age illustrators, and really talking about uh, their careers, their path. But you have to expose yourself to more than just that anime stuff. And it's nice, but I don't want to bash it. It's nice, but I feel like if you're going to learn and grow, the anime stuff should be a choice that you can do, or you should be able to push yourself beyond that to do like something unique, something more, something with a better render quality to it. That way, it's a it doing that style of art is an option for you, not something that you can only do because you don't know anything else. I have the utmost respect for children's book illustrators that can toggle back and forth between like classical portraiture if necessary, or you know character design for animation, or do a variety of different things with that skill set. Okay, okay, good. There's take a look at there's I don't know how familiar you are with the anime style that comes out of France, but that stuff is very different from the traditional Japanese vibe. Characters have no noses. There's a lot of stuff like that going on in that work. I think could be inspiring for you. Yeah. So I think it's going to be really beneficial for you to dig a little deeper beyond who the popular social media concept artists are these days. Like, go back and look at who the character designers from, you know, uh, different different animation, different animated films from the '90s and early 2000s, and look at that stuff and get an appreciation for the work that went into that. Um, because I feel like today there's a lot of carbon copy of a carbon copy of a carbon copy, and like everybody's trying to copy the same popular artist, like it's going to help them down the road. But if your work, if all these artists all have similar styles to their hero, company will just contact the top dog. They're not going to contact the carbon copies. for example, early 2000s, uh, Craig Mullins was, or probably is still today, like one of the premier, probably one of the most famous digital concept artists alive. And he's not as visible now. I mean, he's had his run, I guess, or he's still out there doing stuff, but maybe not as much in the limelight as he once was. But there were so many people when I was coming up, when I was 20 years ago, that were copying his brushwork. Now I go on to ArtStation and it seems like there's like 100 guys copying Craig Mullins, but that's what I'm saying. It's like a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy. And I've spoken to students that say, Craig who? I think, dear God, what? They have no idea where it started from. They're just looking at what's easily accessible to them now without diving back into art history. And you learn a lot taking that time. Study those art of books. Look up those designers. But to students that are looking at their favorite Instagram concept art heroes, go take a look at some real painters, real plein air painters, people that understand color, light, and then apply that to your digital painting. That just makes way more sense to me. Go look up Frederick Church, Bierstadt, Sargent, Zorn, Sid Mead. That stuff. A lot of that stuff was done with real tools, real paper, real brushes. There was no photo bashing. There was no undo. No Command Z, no Control Z. You had to know how to paint. You had to know how to draw. Sid Mead did all his designs for various movies with a pencil. A what? Well, let me describe to you. So there was a long time ago, way, long before you guys were born, there were these sticks made out of wood that had lead in the middle of it. And you could use it to draw on paper. You guys know what I'm talking about. It's like, I'm new. Like, what's a pencil? You know what I'm saying? I swear, like, if that VR, you guys seen that VR painting where you can put on the goggles and go in there and into these 3D environments and just make digital art like that? If that becomes a thing, one day you guys are going to be having conversations with art school students talking about, back in my day we had to stare at a computer screen and do it. Now you just wear those goggles all day like an idiot. Conversation's coming, you'll see. So how many of you are doing that portrait exercise with the school? That weekly challenge. Luis, no photo. Yeah, I know you're busy. If you're gonna do that, if you're gonna do the challenge, you gotta go from scratch. Draw it out. In fact, no photo, Luis. How about that? Tough guy. Put a mirror in front of you, off to your left or your right, and do it from life, like an old master. There you go. You got a mirror. Like that. Luis is in my illustration class, and he's like a world-class, really, really great illustrator. He's out there hustling, doing trading card art and all kinds of stuff. Um, he's always busy, so you might see that portrait one day. One day. Is is Lindley still here? Lindley, are you still here? Hey, Lindley. Um, just wanted to see how your Beowulf piece is coming. All right, cool. How's your Beowulf piece coming? Lindley's my other illustration student. She did a full. She went full James Gurney on us. Now I swear to God, if anybody says to me, "Who's James Gurney?" you ought to just exit this class right now. She went full James Gurney and did a maquette in real clay, y'all, in real clay. She threw down with the clay. Somebody says, well, why couldn't she just do it in Zbrush? Because she's cool like that. She wanted a sculpture she could hold in her hand. So she sculpted her reference and photographed it. She's got a reference of a giant monster killing people in a mead hall. What she's got to do now is paint it. Oh yeah, I'm actively learning ZBrush, and I'm just like realizing how many redundant ways there are to do stuff in that program. I mean, it's not too dissimilar to how there's 14 different ways to do stuff in Photoshop, but there's at least a main toolbar that I don't know. I don't want to start bashing Pixel Logic because might come a day when some kind of partnership call up this video and be like, that guy was just talking junk about us. You can forget it. It sounds like that. The process that I'm doing right now doesn't deviate at all from how I paint traditionally. Um, just just going from that base color lock in directly into just painting out the line work and rendering the face up like I would in oils. So this is different from how I handle this uh, face, where it started off as a grayscale thing, and I went into it with color blend modes and junks. That. Um, so even though I started out rendering this very loosely in grayscale, and I'm going to figure out what I want to do with it in color, and then kind of just start blending and merging stuff together so that I have a solid head. But I think this is much more comfortable for me. Like doing that block in and then rendering right over the line is much more comfortable for me than uh, doing it the concept artist way of starting out with grayscale and then using color blend modes to colorize the asset and all that stuff. But do it however is comfortable for you, whatever is faster for you. Yeah. Starting to come out. So here's the thing with this is that now that I've rendered that face to that level of finish, or starting to render it to that level, um, ooh, should she have? Oh, well, let me finish my thought first. Since I'm rendering this to this level of finish, everything else, the armor, the monster's face, everything's got to be tight, and that's fine for me. Um, because I like to do that. Start it off and really have it be really rough and blocky, and then just polish it up. Uh, what I was gonna say is, do you guys think I should give her some kind of streak of color in her hair, purple accent or something, or is that too 90s grunge or something? I don't know. Ah, decide. Lindley, do you actually use the word fuchsia in a sentence? Like just in conversation. I was walking down the street one day and this woman came out of the store with this fuchsia on. Is it fuchsia? See? I'm never using that word. Just say pink. Okay, I'll let that slide then. Because, I use the word chromatic aberration in a sentence more than, your average human being. So, makes sense. You guys got any fancy plans for this weekend? Go hiking? Eat a whole pie? Watch Justice League for the fifth time? I don't know. What are you doing? Ooh, yeah. Ooh, yeah. So this part of the face that I'm rendering right now, I was doing a book cover once, and the some some lady from a literary agency was saying, like, so okay, so when the cover is published, the size of the kid's face is going to be like the size of my thumb, but she was saying that this part of the upper lip looked wrong to her. These are the kind of things that these are the kind of that's the kind of feedback you could get from somebody. Ready to render upper lips properly. Hey, Luis, what are you doing? You're doing a mural and you're going on vacation? What? I feel like everybody knows you better than me, Luis. We talk for an hour every week. Feelings are hurt. What's going on, man? What are you doing? It's like, oh, didn't I tell you? Came into a large sum of money. That is worth celebrating. You got a lot of kids. Oh, that sounds cool. Well, uh, since nobody is sharing their weekend plans, sounds like everybody's got nothing to do. Sounds pretty lame to me. So I'll brag a little bit. So I got a an original uh, one sheet movie poster from Star Trek First Contact, and I'm going to hang it this weekend. Yep, that's about it. That's the highlights. That's right. That's right, Blasphemer. And this new space I'm in has a lot of walls. A lot of it's like a huge, it's like extra huge room. So I've got more than enough wall space to put like every John Wick movie poster on the wall. I was told never to do that, but oh yeah, that's right. I didn't. All right. So since I'm bragging about myself, thank you, Lindley, because I feel like I gotta pause this whole Twitch stream for a moment to share with you. Oh man, should I turn on the lights? I should probably turn on the lights. Are you guys ready for this? That's right. Life size. What's this kid's name? Like George something? Grew? I don't know. Can't pronounce it. I haven't watched season 2 yet. Those cheeks. Yep. His face is cute too. Now I've officially lost. There he goes. Thought I lost my pen. Now I can resume painting. So if you guys want one of those, grab it from Sideshow Collectibles. They still got a couple left. Yeah, that's what I said, George. Georgiou. I don't know. I'm the guy that can't pronounce Fuchsia right. Fuchsia? 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 fun thing about doing this kind of study or this kind of block in is that once you've done this, like all your values and your colors are pretty much in a rough state. So as you're painting, you don't really need to color pick from or photo reference anymore because the all the colors are already in the face. So you're just refining what's there, right? Um, so that's always fun to just sit here and just render. Put on some tunes. You guys have a favorite music selection that you listen to while you're painting or making art? You guys listen to? ASMR cyberpunk environments. What is that? Is that music? Metal and high pace stuff? I think Lindley said that she was a Nickelback fan. Pretty sure. Just rocking out to Nickelback. Yeah, soundtracks are awesome. I um I listened to the collective soundtrack. There's a Spotify playlist for every soundtrack to the Mission Impossible franchise, which I tend to always have on loop since I'm feel like I'm always crunching on some deadline at like 1 in the morning or something. So a lot of this painting is just being done with a simple round brush. No gimmicks. Treating it more like just a round paintbrush. If this were an oil painting, just rendering the little details with this. Like a flying car, obnoxiously loud synthwave. Okay. So I don't know if you guys have a Spotify playlist or a Spotify account, but I um I listen to it all the time. And so at the end of the year, at the end of every year, they tally up. Like I get this notification, Spotify tallies up how many times I've listened to the same song or the same album or the same song um, in the course of a year. And I think last year it said that I listened to the soundtrack to Captain America Winter Soldier like 300 times, something like that. Like maybe not 300 times, that's ridiculous. But like it was over 100 times. I thought that can't be right. Probably right. You know what? Fun fact about Cardi B: I used to live right down the street from her. Uh, I lived in New Jersey. She would always try to be discreet about she like wear a disguise when she went to the grocery store, like with her bodyguards and her ball cap and sunglasses. Like we weren't gonna know exactly what she looked like, and like random people would. I was on this neighborhood Facebook group. Like, is that Cardi B? Take pictures of her in the grocery store and Whole Foods, post it online. Thought that was like the parking lot to Whole Foods would be Toyota, Toyota, Range Rover, random cars, and then pink Mercedes parked on an angle. Like I wonder who's in the grocery store today. Wrap up this eye and do this hair. This hair. And actually turn off this light. So what are you guys working on? Shout out if you're doing something cool. Doing something for school or are you personal works? Like what are you doing? But glad to hear it. Oh man, the whole time I didn't save this. Save your files, kids. What? What? Luis, why aren't you eligible for rookies? Oh, because you're, is it because your stuff is for publishing? Oh, got it. Yep, understand that. So I think from here, face is more or less done. Hair next. Um, Subtle things I'm going to do to like reflect the light in the shadow side of her face. Like bounce light from their little shoulder pad things. I'll play with later. So our hands have we worked out those little bits and pieces. If you guys want to test out a really fun way of painting hair, treating it like a mass or a shape, um, take a look at J.C. Leyendecker. He's a illustrator from early 20th century, and did all of these really beautiful compositions. The way he handled drawing, painting drapery and metal and all that stuff, it's just fantastic. But he had a very simplistic way of doing hair. Just usually, it depended on the color of the hair, but if it was dark, it would just be a dark mass with just two other values in there. Just like a mid-tone and a highlight that's just scribbled in there. Mark. Because he was not one of those, I'm going to paint every strand of hair kind of people. You know, and when I see digital artists get obsessive about, no, I've got to draw the eyelashes, I've got to paint the crumbs on this person's upper lip. That's how detailed it's got to be. You need to step back. And are you if you're going to go that far, you might as well just lightly touch up the photo reference, because you're not, that's too far. And I know people that have gotten themselves stuck in a hole where once they get known for doing that level of finish, they can't go back. Because then the client gets used to seeing that, and then if you try to change up your look, then they worry about whether or not they're getting their money's worth. Because they came to you because you render the crumbs on an up that level of finish. But if you said to yourself, you know what, this is giving me carpal tunnel, I'm staying up till 2 in the morning, I'm headaches all the time, I gotta simplify my style. Too late for some people. Others have to just, let client know in advance, okay, well, I'm going to be changing my look, and you can decide whether or not you still want to work. That's why I was telling that person earlier on in the chat to take a look outside of current digital artists. Go look at some old stuff. Look outside of concept art. Look outside of illustration. Take a look over it. Go look at fine art. Look at some. Go look back into art history, and see what inspires you there, and how they handled painting forms very impressionistically and stuff. Because all of that loose, rough concept environment paintings and stuff that you see online started out as a whole movement in France, parts of Europe. Artists that were going against realism. So they're doing these looser paintings that just felt like they were all out of focus. Now they're this whole ArtStation pages full of that stuff. With no, I wonder sometimes whether or not some of those artists even know or have an appreciation for the art history, or if they're just copying a copy of a copy of a copy, somebody that they grew up at when they were some digital paint or something like that from the old DeviantArt days or something. Thoughts and junk on a Friday. Luis, have a good weekend. Bet that finish your mural. I've got some stuff I got to get done this weekend. Enjoy your vacation. Yep, it's cool. Um, and Lindley, if you're still there, if you want to send me a JPEG or something of wherever you're at um, for our next class, feel free to do so. Um, and otherwise, I will talk to you all later. Have a good